Welcome back, all you fragrance fanatics and beauty babes. In today's video, we're going to be going over the history of Lalique, and then towards the end, I'm going to show you and kind of go through like a review of the 4 Lalique perfumes that I have in my collection at this time. So this all kind of started with Sunny Scents. Doesn't it always start with Sunny Scents? No, she had done a video a while back mentioning the Lalique Le Parfum. And of course, so I had to pick it up. So I did, loved it. And then she started talking about how they were a glass company. And there was some history behind that. So of course, me being a Gemini, I have to soak up all the information. I need all the information. And so I went deep diving to learn everything I could about the history of Lalique. And I was in absolute heaven because if there's one thing I love just as much as perfumes, it's art history. Oh my gosh, I love art history so much. And if I'd gone to college, I probably would have gone for art history, but I could not pass my foreign language classes. Surprise, surprise. Anyway, so just know when I am making this video, I am just a one-woman show, if you haven't noticed already. There's just me here. And I'm not the History Channel. I don't have a whole team. So I did all the research I could. I've been working on this for weeks. And during the video, I've also collected a bunch of pictures of his art, all the different glass art that he's done. And I'm going to be showing you on the screen. And then also I've got like different pictures of the people we'll be talking about as well. So the last thing I wanted to say before we start is that I will link the 4 perfumes we're going to be talking about today in the description box below if you're interested in them. And if you are interested in learning more about Lalique, because, you know, like I said, I'm just one person. This is just what I found. But there is so many rabbit holes you can go down. Just start by typing in the history of Lalique. And then from there, it will take you down so many rabbit holes. You will be deep diving into the internet all night long. There's so much going on here. But I tried to condense it down as much as I could so that this video would not be like 5 hours long. I didn't want this to be a documentary, you know, just like a fun little short, hopefully, video. So without further ado, let's get into this. René Lalique was born in 1860, and when he was 2 years old, their family moved to Paris. When he was 16 years old, that's when his dad died, so he had to get a job. And he decided to become an apprentice for some Parisian jewelers. And then by the time he was 25, he started doing his own work. And he was really good at it. He was winning competitions. He was making beautiful jewelry pieces for famous French actresses, and just everyone loved his jewelry. And he was actually quoted as saying, "I want to create something never seen before." And I take it that he was a very ambitious young man. When René was doing these jewelry pieces, a lot of times, yes, he did use some enamel and some gold and rhinestones and things like that, gemstones and things like that, but he also used glass to make some of these pieces. And from that, he got into making other works of art with glass. He started making vases and bookends and, you know, just all types of little glass statue figurines. And car ornaments. I didn't know, like way back when, like they had like these really bougie looking glass car ornaments. I couldn't even imagine. Mine would be broken so quick. You have no idea. Like, I'm the world's worst driver. I have no depth perception, so I'm always running into things, but that's beside the point. So he was really getting into glass making and glass art at this time. And I feel like it's really interesting to point out that when René was first starting out doing his art, it was more in the Art Nouveau style, which is inspired more by nature and natural things. It was really popular back in the late 1800s, early 1900s, and it's like the artwork uses, like, you know, vines, like the twisting of vines, the branches of trees, like the curvature of petals on a flower, like that type of artwork, very intricate pieces. And then later on, he went into the Art Deco style, which is inspired more by industrial machinery, very simplified geometric shapes and harsh, cornered edges, things like that, versus the Nouveau style, which was more, flowing. And in some of his pieces, you'll see either one or the other, and some of his art pieces kind of have a little bit of both, that Art Deco and Nouveau style, which I think is really fascinating. And there was one time that Renee did an interview with a really popular art critic at that time, and the art critic had asked him, like, what is your inspiration? And he tells the guy, he's like, women and nature. And you can see that clearly in all of his pieces. All have to do with women and nature. And of course women, because of those, it makes sense, the Nouveau style, that more, like the curvature of a woman's body, stuff like that. I can see that. But I thought that was really cool. In 1905, Renee decided that he was going to get a place that he could showcase, like a studio where he could showcase not only his jewelry, but also all of his glass art stuff as well. And so he found a place in Paris, and right down the street was François Coty. And so perfumer meets glassmaker. So you can see where this is going. And there is a ton of stuff on the internet involving François Coty. We're not going to get into all of it today, but like I said, you can find it on the internet if you're more interested. But I have condensed the majority of it down. I do feel like it is relevant to share a lot of his stuff as well. Not only is some of it fascinating, but also, he's involved with Lalique, so that I felt like it was relevant. Coty has a fascinating origin story. So apparently, he was trying to sell his perfumes, and he wanted a spot in a department store. He was going around, no one was interested in his perfumes. He was carrying his case full of perfumes he was wanting to sell. And then all of a sudden, one falls on the ground in the department store and bursts open, makes a loud noise. The smell starts to permeate through the department store. And then all the women started flocking to him and bought everything, all the perfumes he had on him that day. And then the department store was like, okay, yeah, we like you. We want to keep you. And some have speculated that he might have hired those women and that it was all a big ploy to get the department store to be interested in him, but that's not confirmed or denied. It could have been an accident. Who knows? But that's how he got started, and his perfume started to take off from there. Now, up until this point, most perfumes were just put into like a regular, just not anything pretty, just a regular little flask, and you would buy it, take it home, and then you would put the perfume into whatever decorative perfume bottle you had on your vanity. But Coty knew that the prettier the bottle was that you were selling the perfume in, the more attractive it was to the women, the more they would want to buy it. He was quoted as saying, "I realized that an attractive bottle was essential to a perfume's success." And that is that not so true? Like, there are sometimes I buy a perfume specifically just because of the bottle. I mean, I'm guilty of that. I'm sure you are too. And Coty wanted to make perfumes more accessible to the average Joe, because back in the day, perfumes were extremely expensive, although, can't say they're not expensive now, but apparently they were extremely expensive and only for the very wealthy and fabulous, But he was the one that created out a way that you can mix some synthetic ingredients with natural ingredients and then lower the cost of the perfume itself. And did you know he was the inventor of the perfume gift set? Like, mind blown. So because of all this, he is considered the founding father of modern perfumery, and I can understand why. Now, Coty was quoted as saying this, and I want to make sure I get it right, so I'm going to read it from the paper because this is really fascinating. Give a woman the best product to be made. Market it in the perfect flask, beautiful in its simplicity, yet impeccable in its taste. Ask a reasonable price for it, and you will witness the birth of a business the size of which the world has never seen. Is that not so freaking true? He was a genius. He really was. And he made makeup. Did you know the Coty airspun loose powder that you can get today at a Walgreens or a CVS is the same Coty airspun loose powder that he made back in the day? And not only that, but the artwork on that is now, of course, the packaging is a little different now from what it used to be, but it's still very similar, as you can see. But that artwork was done by none other than Lalique. Did you know that? So many fascinating things. Like, my mind was just blowing when I was deep diving all of this information. There is just so much to learn about Coty. And he was a bad boy. He was a very arrogant bad boy. And at one point, he was the richest man in France because of all of his perfumes and makeups and things like that. He had tons of mistresses and illegitimate children, and so many rabbit holes to go down with that. We won't get into all of it, but there's just so much going on there. And then his wife finally divorces him around the Great Depression, and she takes all of his money from him, and he's completely broke. It just so many fun side stories that you can get lost in here. But anyway, back to René Lalique. He had his art studio set up in Paris next to Coty's office, and Coty needed beautiful glass bottles for his perfume. He knew René Lalique did great, beautiful pieces, so they got together in 1907 and started, just started working together, making perfume bottles. René made over 16 bottles for Coty alone, but he was also involved in making a lot of other perfume bottles because other companies were also like, this is a good idea. We need to get in on this. So Lalique was being hired out by these other perfume companies as well to make bottles for them, which, quote, revolutionized the perfume industry from then on. Coty was becoming even more popular. During World War I, the soldiers were bringing home French perfumes, Coty's French perfumes, to their wives, and the wives were loving them. So Coty became worldwide, and he had a headquarters set up in America, in New York to be specifically, and the place needed to be renovated. So who do you think he had do the windows for his headquarters? Of course, none other than René Lalique. As you can see in the pictures here, he did a really beautiful, it's not just like regular windows. I mean, this is art. It's stunning. And in the 1980s, they were actually going to knock this building down because there's this whole story where all the windows were all, dirty and you couldn't tell they were pretty windows. And then finally they wiped them all down and cleaned it. And they were like, oh my gosh, this is René's artwork. We can't take this down. So now that place is a registered landmark now. And you can visit it still to this day, which is really cool. And I would have loved to have known, what was the relationship like between Lalique and Coty? Was it just business? Were they best friends? I couldn't find any information on that at all. So in 1945, René Lalique passes away, and he has 2 children. He gives the company to his son, Mark. Now, I feel like it's important to note that his daughter was a very talented artist and could have totally handled taking over the company. But it was back in that day and age where, women are too fragile. We can't own our own companies, But anyway, so Mark took over the company. And I will say he was a smart cookie. He was the one that moved the company from using glass to make their artwork pieces to making crystal artwork pieces. So, you know, he was responsible for that. So I'll give him credit there. So in 1977 is when Mark passes away, and then he leaves the company to his granddaughter, Marie Claude Lalique. And when she took over the company, she was already known as the Queen of Crystal because she was a very accomplished artist and jewelry maker, jewelry designer. Marie Claude Lalique is extremely important to this story because she is the reason there are Lalique perfumes today. In 1992, she had the idea of, we make these beautiful perfume bottles. Why don't we make perfume as well? So then there you have it. And that's how it began. So she came out with Lalique Parfum, or as it's known today as Lalique de Lalique. It got renamed and possibly reformulated during the 20-year anniversary releasing of this perfume. But this is the original bottle. If you go on Fragrantica, you can see the 20-year anniversary bottle is different. And apparently the scent could possibly have been altered as well and not more like the original was. But so she came out with this bottle in 1992, and then in 1994 is when she sells the company. So Lalique Parfum is the only perfume that she actually had her hands in before she sold the company, because every other perfume since then was from 1995 and onward. The company that she sold Lalique to was called the Art and Fragrance Company. And then they ended up changing it back to the Lalique Company back in 2016. So it got name changed there, but they turned it back to Lalique because they realized the weight that name held, you know, and so that was 13 years after Marie had already passed away. So you're probably wondering, like, well, who owns the Lalique now? You know, I mean, I know I was like, well, you know, if it's not a actual blood relative of Lalique, then who owns them? You know, what's happening? You know, I demand answers. So it's a guy named Silvio Dens, I believe is how you pronounce the last name. And he is the head honcho at Lalique Group. And he has the largest private René Lalique collection of anyone. He is a huge fan of René Lalique, to say the least. And he wanted to make sure that the Lalique Group was upholding the high standards of René Lalique and the craftsmanship and all of that. So because of that, I feel comfortable. I feel a little bit more comfortable now, knowing that it went to somebody that truly loves and appreciates René Lalique's artwork and wants to keep that memory and that quality in craftsmanship and artistic style, you know, alive and well. So that is the history of Lalique. And I don't know about you. You may have found things that surprised you. I know I found a ton of things that surprised me when I was doing my research. I think that this is just so fascinating. I love it. But now we're going to get into the 4 perfumes that I have right now. We're going to start off, of course, with the original that came out in 1992, the only one that Marie actually had her hands in creating, which is the Lalique Parfum, or Lalique de Lalique, as it's known now. This one has jasmine, iris, rose, clove, pear, blackberry, cassis, sandalwood, white musk, and vanilla. And the perfumer behind this is named Sophia, and she is also the one who made Eternity for Women, Diamonds and Rubies by Elizabeth Taylor. She made Beautiful by Estee Lauder. She did the original Treasure. And I would say out of all of it is similar to Treasure, this perfume, but this one is Treasure is sweeter, more of a sweet, fruity floral. This one is not as sweet. This one is very classic smelling. I definitely get like a light fruitiness up top, and it is it's a lightly sweetened, not nearly as sweet as the Treasure, but it's like a lightly sweetened fruitiness at top. I get the freshness from the pear. I love that. And then I also pick up on that powdery iris and that jasmine. And then the dry down is a very spicy woodiness. And it's just a classic scent, and I really appreciate it. And I'll give you more of a close-up of the bottle itself. Like I said, the 20-year anniversary one looks different, but this is what the 1992 version looked like, the bottle, with the vines and stuff going around the sides and then the top there. It just definitely, like, you can tell, like, this is, now that I've seen all the artwork and stuff and I know more, it's like I could tell this is Lalique, like, even if there wasn't a label on the front. So let's talk about the perfume that started me into deep diving all of this, which is the Lalique Les Parfums. This one has the Indian bay leaf and pink pepper, bergamot, heliotrope, almond, jasmine, vanilla, tonka beans, sandalwood, and patchouli. And this is very fresh, powdery, aromatic, unique vanilla. I really enjoy this one. It's nothing like anything I have in my collection. Really, none of these are. All of these are very unique as far as what I already have in my collection. I absolutely love the bay leaf that is in here. I think that's what really sets it apart from a lot of other vanilla perfumes. Like it's so unique and so like aromatic, and I really love it. So let me bring it up closer to you. It's got the tassels there. And there's a top here. You can't really see it really well, but I'll put it on the screen. It is the Masque des Femmes. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but that is what the artwork is called that René Lalique created back in 1935. They put that on the lid here. And as you can see, it's a woman's face, and then there's like fish surrounding her, and you can tell this was done by Lalique. So as I'm doing all this research, you all were saying I should pick up Amethyst, and boy, were you right. This is so good. That's actually what I'm wearing today, right now. Amethyst by Lalique. This one has blackcurrant, blackberry, blueberry, mulberry, pepper, peony, rose, ylang ylang, musk, woody notes, and bourbon vanilla. And let me tell you, this is a berry bomb. Berry bomb. It is juicy, sweet, fresh, purple. I smell the color purple. Berries, and I also pick up on that sweet peony and vanilla. It is a berry. I don't pick up like specifically like a blueberry or a blackberry or a raspberry, strawberry or whatever. I just pick up berries. Lots of purple, fresh, sweet berries. And it is just, I mean, it's literally like an explosion of berries on you. I really love this perfume. I'm so glad you all recommended this. And this last one I want to show you, some have already seen in my YouTube short that I made. And never in my life, you guys, never in my life. This is a heavy box. This is a jewelry box. This is like a fancy jewelry box. You know, normally perfumes just come in regular like cardboard. Even if it's nice, it's still like a harder cardboard, but this is amazing. And it's got the velvet on the back so that you don't scratch up your table. And oh my God, I've never in my life had a perfume that you have to like press a button to open the box it comes in. Like what? Like this is the most bougiest thing I think I own. So you have to press the button there and then it pops open. And that's how it's displayed. Are you kidding me? So I wanted to get this because it fascinated, the notes intrigued me, and the history of why they created the bottle the way they did really fascinated me, because they wanted to do it more of an Art Deco style, and they wanted to include the elements of the peacock feathers there. Specifically because in 1901, Renee had illustrated a book using peacocks and peacock feathers and stuff. And so they wanted to kind of put that history into this bottle, this artwork. It's beautiful. And I don't spend a lot on perfumes, you know me, I'm not that way, but, and if I had to have paid retail for this, there would be no way this would be in my hands today, because it was like over $300 if you pay retail for this. That is like, whew, no thank you, next. But on fragrancenet.com, they had them on sale for only $100. I think it was like $100, maybe $110. I can't remember exactly, but it was like right around $100. I'm like, okay, I'll pay $100 for it. I'm okay with that. I'm comfortable with paying that. So, so man, I just bought it mainly just for the art and the history behind it. But the scent is also like mind-blowingly good. So it's got mandarin orange, pink pepper, cardamom, violet leaf, almond, heliotrope, benzoin, jasmine, tonka bean, white musk, cedar, and patchouli. And I definitely get a sweet mandarin opening. And then that is followed quickly. Now, normally I don't like a very nutty perfume. If you remember, Juliet Has a Gun came out with, what was it? Juliet Has a Gun, Juliet, that perfume that came out. I was talking about how it was way too nutty for me. I think it was the combination of really nutty and also that cashmere. It just seemed odd to me, like a cashmere sweater that smelled like nuts. Like it was just kind of strange for me personally. Everyone's different, you know, you might have loved that perfume and that's great. But for me personally, it was too much. This has the perfect amount of nuttiness. If you do like a nutty perfume, I think you would really enjoy this. And it is giving off like honey roasted almonds. Like that is how this smells. It's a very sweet honey roasted almond. And it's delicious, and it's so unique from, you know, not that I'm some expert that has smelled like thousands of perfumes or anything, but from what I've smelled so far, me personally, this is a very unique, delicious, amazing perfume. And then there's also a really nice soft spice to this. And I thoroughly enjoy it. I'm glad I like the scent. It was like, whew, you know, because I did want it just for the artwork, but it's nice. It's nice that I can also really enjoy the scent as well. So I'll show you again really quick. Yeah, it's so pretty. Like it's artwork. Like Lalique does amazing stuff. And I also want to pick up the Soleil Vibrant, I believe is what it's called. I have a travel size of that coming in, but I'm waiting for it to be on one of the discount websites before I buy a full bottle of it, because that has to do with they were celebrating the fierce woman that Marie Claude Lalique was in that bottle design that they made for the Soleil Vibrant, the Soleil, all those bottle designs. So I definitely want to pick up one of those as well. I really hope that you all enjoyed this video and found it entertaining or fascinating or informative, hopefully. I would love to know, you know, what other Lalique perfume should I get my hands on? What are some of your favorite Lalique perfumes, or just perfume bottles, you know, because their bottles are beautiful too. So thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you so much. I will see you next time. Bye.